You ever feel like you're stuck in a tough season of life? You know, one of those personal winters where everything just feels cold and quiet and maybe a little bit stuck. Well, today we're going to dive into this amazing book called Snow White that completely reframes those moments. It suggests they're not something you just have to get through, but actually a space for some really profound meaning and transformation.
The book itself puts it perfectly. Some books explain things to you, and others, well, they invite you in. So let's treat this as an invitation, a chance to look at life's challenges not just as obstacles, but as openings for some pretty incredible growth.
All right, so our journey starts with a doorway to wonder, and honestly, it's hidden in plain sight. It's the book's title. It's so much more than just a name. It's literally the key to unpacking the entire message.
When you first look at it, it seems pretty straightforward, right? Snow, white, maybe a little nod to the fairy tale. But the real genius here, the real depth, is hiding in the punctuation. The secret sauce is that tiny little comma. See, it separates snow from white, and that changes everything. It's not a description anymore, it becomes this personal, intimate address. The author isn't just observing snow, she's speaking to it in a moment of absolute wonder. It's like a gasp of awe. Oh, snow, look how white you are.
So the title itself actually maps out this three-part journey for us. First, you have snow. That's the arrival of a hard, cold season. Then comes white. That's the process of being stilled, quieted, purified. And finally, that exclamation mark. That's the joyful aha moment, the discovery that the whole season was actually a gift.
Okay, so let's move on and see how this builds, because this next part is the core idea. It's about shifting our whole perspective to see winter not as an ending, but as the perfect environment for a very specific kind of change. It's all about the chemistry of personal transformation.
This quote from the book just gets right to the heart of it. What if these cold, quiet seasons aren't some kind of penalty? What if they're not a punishment, but a provision? Something given to us exactly when we need it, meant to sustain us in a whole new way. So to explain this, the author uses this really beautiful scientific metaphor, crystallization. For a snowflake to form, you see, water vapor doesn't just freeze randomly into a clump of ice. No, it needs two very specific things. It needs to be cold enough, and, this is key, it has to be still enough for that incredibly intricate, beautiful structure to take shape.
Just think about the difference between rain and snow for a second. Rain can be loud, right? It's urgent, it demands attention, it pounds on the roof. But snow? Snow arrives in silence. It just drifts down, no hurry at all. And it actually absorbs sound, creating this profound sense of peace. That's the unique feeling of a winter season. And here's the crucial point. Just like that snowflake, there might be parts of us, strengths we didn't know we had, new insights, a new kind of beauty that simply cannot emerge in the heat and the busyness of our normal lives. Some things can only take shape in the cold and the quiet.
So how does this abstract idea actually play out in a real life? Well, the book shares this personal story about reframing what felt like a scattered career path into something incredibly powerful, a skill blizzard.
The story kicks off with a question that I think, so many of us have asked ourselves. You look back at your jobs, your life choices, your experiences, and it can feel like this random, illogical mess. You think, why doesn't this all connect into a neat, straight line?
The narrator's career felt exactly like that. She was constantly being put in these roles that had no precedent, no manual. Coordinating brand new research projects, opening whole departments from scratch, figuring out complex systems backwards, always starting from a blank page. And on the surface, it just felt like instability.
But then came the breakthrough, the big aha moment. This wasn't a failure to find a stable path. This was the specific, specialized training of a trailblazer. Trailblazers don't get to walk on roads that are already paved. Their entire job is to create them for everyone else.
And that just reframes everything. It wasn't chaos, it was accumulation. Every single one of those seemingly random experiences was like a single snowflake, quietly adding to a bigger and bigger whole. And together, they formed a skill blizzard, a powerful, undeniable force of unique expertise that was forged in all that uncertainty.
Now, this journey of reframing our own story then elevates into this really beautiful, universal spiritual principle. The book introduces a Hebrew concept that helps us understand a much deeper way of knowing, especially when life goes quiet.
And that concept is yada. Now, this isn't about knowing facts about someone. It's not informational knowledge. Yada is deep, intimate, experiential knowing.
It's the kind of knowing you get from walking through life with someone, sharing experiences, building trust, not just reading their resume. And here is the absolute key for our winter seasons, this deep relational knowing. It isn't formed when we have all the answers. It's formed in the quiet moments, when the explanations are gone, but we feel a sense of presence, of companionship through it all.
So the real invitation in those winter seasons is to shift our whole posture, to stop demanding explanations for everything, and instead to create the stillness needed for revelation, to just allow ourselves to experience a sense of presence in a new and much more profound way.
And this brings us to the final, beautiful conclusion of this whole journey. What is the ultimate purpose of being crystallized in one of these winter seasons? Well, it turns out it's all about reflecting the light.
I mean, just look at these. Every single snowflake is a totally unique masterpiece. Its intricate beauty was formed by the specific pressures of its own journey, the exact temperature, the stillness. This is a picture of the kind of beauty that can emerge from our own difficult seasons.
But here's the big question. Why is snow white? This is probably the most powerful metaphor in the entire book. Snow isn't white because it has some special white pigment inside of it, or because it's pure and untouched. No, it's white because its crystalline structure reflects all the wavelengths of light. It holds nothing back. It just reflects whatever light falls on it.
And the takeaway for us from that is, well, it's profound. It suggests that purity or holiness isn't about a perfect performance or about never making a mistake. It's about alignment. It's about becoming like that snow, a life that is so yielded, so unresistant, that it simply and beautifully reflects the light of its owner.
So we'll end with a question to just carry with you. The next time you find yourself in one of those cold, quiet seasons, ask yourself this. What if this isn't a punishment to just get through? What if this is actually a sacred invitation? An invitation to become still, to crystallize, and to learn how to reflect light in a way you never, ever could before.
To trust the knife that mends. If all my leaves must fall